Welcome to Give to Gas. Master your communication maps of meaning. Training with yours truly, Doug McGuirk. All right, just having some fun here. All right, so welcome, boomers. Today, we are going to dive into the map of meaning. Master your communication to maximize impact and result. My name is Doug Max McGuirk, and I am here as a boomer with the idea to support you in maximizing your efficacy in your experience in life. And life, the personal drives the professional, doesn't it? So we are here to ensure that you are getting the absolute most out of your life experience, that you're finding ways to maximize your productivity, maximize your efficacy, maximize your prosperity. So, with that being said, our life is run through communication, both internal and external. So this conversation is going to be about kind of unpacking a bit how we show up and how we can master our communication. And the reason why I call this a map of meaning is there's a philosophy that we're going to dive into about meaning and how that shows up for us. So before we do that, I just want to warn you, getting a little code alert for you. I'm going to show you kind of how I coach, and why does that matter? Well, it shows that there are a lot of ways that we can get results. So, are you ready for the code alert? Here we go. Boom. So this is how I do my coaching through Transformative Conversations. So as you'll see here, there's a lot of stuff going on here. We've got our personalities here. So this is our masks, our emotional resources, what fuels that in many respects. We're going to get into that in another way as all with the behavioral trinity here. We've got our story, right? The seasons, our archetypes, the warnings and the examples that we have. Then we've got our 6 needs model, and this is a Tony Robbins model that I used very effectively for the last 2 decades. Then our 7 beliefs here, right, which really goes into it. Here, there's one little section. We're going to do a whole section just on this, but this is about our life conditions, our blueprint, our 7 beliefs, our global beliefs, identity, values, rules, vehicles to meet needs, situation-specific beliefs, and our meta programs and our fuel of choice. And they're all sort of intertwined, as you will learn. Then we get into levels of consciousness. This is spiral dynamics. So this is where we get into that, and then we'll maybe do a training on that as well. And then our spheres of influence, and this is where we also are having opportunities to learn, to grow, to challenge ourselves. So we've got our work, ourself, and our relationships, and then the behavioral trinity, and you'll see here we've got meaning there again. So without further ado, let's dive in, shall we? So we've got ourselves here the 3 pillars of transformation. So if you and I want to grow our boomer business, if we want to grow our organization, if we want to experience joy in any area of life, or if we are not growing, we are not experiencing joy, we are not getting the most out of life, it lies within this. Everything in our world falls into this right here, which I'm going to share. First is our state. And that referring to is our emotional fuel. What is driving us there? Very important that we think of those terms, and we do this in another training around like the fuel, the gas of our car. Like, you know, you wouldn't put crap gas in your supercar. Then strategy. What specifically are our goals or outcomes, and how are we getting there? So this is strategy/tactics. And then lastly is our story. And at the end of our days, that's what we're going to have, is a collection of stories. So let's dive a little bit deeper into this, and let's look at state and how that works. So when we talked about that emotional fuel, all states are fuel. Now, the question is it resourceful fuel? Is it high test? Is it fuel that's going to take you to the next level? Or is it fuel that's going to take you out? But either way, you and I, we do our state, our emotions. It doesn't happen to us. It's not like we just wake up going, all right, I'm happy, or okay, I'm depressed. Like something is happening. And there are three things, we call this the behavioral trinity. There are three things that are always, yes, always contributing to and directing and creating the state or generating our emotions. And the first thing is our physiology. So what is physiology? Well, that's essentially a fancy word for the way we use our bodies. So if you think about someone who is who's sad. Let's say someone who's sad and depressed. Well, actually, let's prove it. Let's have some fun. I'm going to imagine that you are right here with me, whether you're watching it live or on a recording. And what I'd like you to do is sit up nice and straight. Sit nice and straight with your shoulders back and take a nice, big, deep, cleansing breath in right now. And exhale and relax. That's right. Okay, now take another big, deep cleansing breath in. And exhale with a moan. Okay, now there's no therapeutic value in that. That was just for our entertainment. All right, so now that you've taken that nice, big, deep cleansing breath in, what I'd like you to do is sit up straight, nice and tall. Sit up straight with your shoulders back. Breathing deep, look up in the sky and put a big, huge smile on your face. Go ahead, big smile, looking up, big smile. I see you, smile. That's it. Look up in the sky, let's see some big teeth, breathing deep, shoulders back. That's right, awesome. Now with your shoulders back, while you're looking up in the sky, breathing deep, smiling big, get depressed. No, smile back up there, get the smile back up, breathe deep, now, get depressed. Now keep it up. Now, all right. Did you have a challenge getting depressed while you were putting your body in an incongruent state, incongruent way, right? When you have a smile, when you're breathing deep, when your shoulders are back, we are in a different state. It puts us in a much more confident, much more happy. A smile will give you the smile, give you the good feels, right? Now, think about someone when they are depressed. Where are their shoulders? Up or down? Down. Where are they breathing? Deep or shallow? Shallow. Are they moving fast or slow? Slow. Right? So, and they're generally looking where? Down. Here I am being Eeyore for you. So the more radically we change our physiology, the more radically we change how you and I feel. So what we want to do is,
on a scale of 1 to 5, would you give yourself a 5 on achieving what you want in life? If your answer is anything less than a 5, right now, I have something awesome for you. Achieving your goals and living your life at a 5 isn't easy. Most people aren't prepared to focus, stay disciplined, and do the everyday work that is necessary to achieve amazing results. But since you're watching this, then I'm guessing that you're not one of those people. And this is an opportunity that will change your life. Give to Get is a global program that brings together world-class coaching and combines it with empowering masterminds and networking opportunities. We provide 5-star guidance for the price of a cup of coffee a day. To find out more, click on the link in the description of this coaching session.
Be aware of what we are doing habitually with our body. And this is all going to make sense in a moment why we do this. But because what happens is if we don't put ourselves in a resourceful state, we will then behave non-resourcefully. Next is our focus. Let me go here. Our focus. Right? Now, where focus goes, energy flows is an old statement. What we focus on expands. What we focus on, we feel. So when we focus on challenges, what happens is they start getting bigger. They start getting more challenging. We focus on pain, that starts getting bigger and all of that, right? So let's have some fun here with this. Now, again, I'm watching you. What I'd like you to do is look around your room, wherever you are right now, whatever space you're in, and look around your room and notice and seek out, focus on all of the brown. Focus on the brown. Just look around the room. Find the brown. Find the brown. Find the brown everywhere. Just wherever there's brown, find the brown. Find the brown. Okay, there's a little elephant there. The stereo. Okay, there's a little brown there. Okay, got the brown. Got the brown. Find the brown. Just look around the room. Find all the brown. All the brown. Find the brown. Find the brown. Okay, you got it? Excellent. Now, close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, tell me everything in your room that is metal. All right, so you may have had a little trouble. You may know your room really well and you know what specifically is metal, but now open your eyes and look around the room and notice how much more metal there is. It could be the bolts, the screws in your light fixtures. Excuse me. It could be the boom on your microphone, the microphone itself. It could be the strings on the guitar, the bridge, all of that. I'm looking around the room and there's tons of metal that I hadn't even noticed. The screws on the lights over there, the other boom here, there's metal right there on the floor and the bolt for the cable, right? So there's a lot more metal. So is it possible that you and I could sometimes spend more time focusing on the brown in life than all of the bright, shiny opportunities for happiness, joy, growth, progress, prosperity, all of these things? There's a book we know of and maybe we have read called The Good Book. And in the good book, and I'm no preacher, but there's a statement in there: seek and ye shall find. So when we when we seek out the brown, we find it. When we seek out things that get us upset, that bother us, that cause pain and anguish and suffering, we find it and then we feel it. Then we experience it. Which brings us to the last part of the behavioral trinity, and that is language. Now, language is an extremely powerful and interesting experience that we as humans have. Now, that's not to say that animals don't have language. They do, but it is far less complicated in many ways. We are able to muck things up by associating meanings and all that, and that's what we're getting to. But notice what language we are habitually using to describe and declare what our experience of life is. Are we using words like, as an example, is there a difference between being frustrated and furious? Yeah, and by a little or a lot. Now, here's a question. Do you know anybody who gets furious at things that don't even frustrate you? Or do you get furious about things that other people aren't even frustrated at? Now, there's no right or wrong answer. It's your experience. It's your world. The challenge is that when we look at this from the outside looking in, we go meta, and we talked about, if you remember in my mind map there about meta programming, meta is outside, is up. That's why Facebook is now calling it meta, because it's like other life. But when we notice what words we are using habitually to describe our situations, like, are we getting pissed off? Are we getting furious? Are we expressing ourselves as depressed or anxious, full of anxiety or panic attacks, or all these things, like all these language, these words that we use. Now, the challenge is language is also very limiting, because now we've created a box in which we are living because we said so, right? But it's also very freeing because of the flexibility within our language, because the English language in and of itself is also extraordinarily flexible. It's one of the most flexible languages on the planet. We also guide our focus through language. How do we do that? Through the questions we ask and the declarations that we make. So questions that we ask, we want to notice habitually what kind of questions are we asking, and are they presupposing pain in the first place or something non-resourceful? So as an example, if I were to ask, I'm not feeling so hot, and I were to say, why am I so stupid? The presupposition is that A, I am stupid, and B, there is a reason. Seek and ye shall find, ask and ye shall receive. So what my brain is now going to do is find ways to make me right. Why am I so stupid? Well, you've just declared that you are stupid. Now we're going to find the reasons why, and we're going to give it credence. We're going to find evidence. We're going to focus on all the times, all the ways, all the experiences that I felt stupid in to justify that actual question or that declaration. Say, I'm so stupid. Why am I so stupid? There's also a thing I forgot to mention in the focus, the RAS in our brain. See, when we focus on something, when we look for something, it cues something in our brain to start finding more of it. So as an example, I'm wondering if you've experienced this like I have. So let's say you went to a store and you bought a hat, you bought a pair of shoes, you bought a belt, a watch, a pair of sunglasses, maybe you bought a car, maybe you bought, something that at the time you thought was really unique and special and very, like it spoke to you personally. And it was like, it's like a God thing that, oh, look here, I found the perfect thing, the perfect car, perfect bag, perfect watch, whatever. You walk out of the store, you drive off the lot, and now you see them everywhere. Are there more of them than there were before? No. You're just noticing them now. Because seek and ye shall find, ask and ye shall receive. Once we put it in our brain, we start noticing more of them. Remember the first like kind of like cool, unique car that I got that was kind of really stepping outside myself, and it was one that it wasn't like a convenient, like all my cars I got in the past were like, from a friend or, a family member, whatever. Oh, you're selling your car, I'll buy it. And it wasn't like anything, unique or special that I sought out. I mean, it was, but it wasn't. It was like a car I'd already seen and known for a long time. The first like real car that I got that wasn't one that was from someone I knew was an Infiniti FX45. And it's, kind of a weird looking car, big bubbly looking car. And when I got it, I was like, man, like this is such a unique, it was unique. I thought I was like, man, it's like no one's got this car, and it's kind of special, right? And as soon as I took ownership of it, they were everywhere, and I was like, what, did they have a sale on them? Like, how come all of a sudden everybody's got one? Truth is, there weren't more of them. I just was noticing them more. So we want to take notice as well to get aware of how much are we using certain words, how often are we focusing on certain things, and what are we doing habitually, routinely, ritualistically with our body that is creating whatever state we are experiencing. Because by now you've already figured out that these, when congruent, so if I'm in an angry state physiologically and I'm focusing on things that are getting me really angry and I'm using language like this pisses me off, this shouldn't happen, and all of this, and it's going to get into where I'm going next, then what'll happen is I will be really full on angry because it's everywhere. Not, if you noticed when you did before, when we put your body in that state of physiology of happiness with the big smile and breathing deep. In order for you to get depressed, one of the things you would have had to have done by keeping your body the same way is still focus on what would make you depressed. To say something in your head like, oh, I got to get depressed right now. What would make me sad? What depresses me? But your body, because it was incongruent, would not have the same strength. Now, it will have likely depleted the energy of joy, but certainly not take it away. Now, why is that important? Because nothing at all has any meaning except the meaning we give it. So from the state we are in, do you think that that is going to have impact on the meanings we give anything? Right? Nothing has any meaning except the meaning you or I give it. So if we're angry and a thing happens, we are then going to automatically, generally speaking, make it mean something that fits into that anger bucket. Another saying, life is empty and meaningless, and it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless, by Werner Erhard. So that's a more complicated way of saying that nothing means anything. But if we say it's empty and meaningless, and it's empty and meaningless that it's empty and meaningless, well, truly there is no meaning. And then last here is nothing has any meaning except the meaning we give it. Tony Robbins, thank you very much. So, question again. What do you think the state we are in how much will it influence the meaning we assign any situation? Think about that. How powerful is this conversation if we go, man, if I'm in a non-resourceful state, if I'm angry and a thing happens, naturally I'd be like, screw that, F it shouldn't happen, right? These are all belief systems. It goes into that map, the mind map there of belief systems, right? So the way we process all of that is the meaning we give it is based on the filters of the various beliefs that we have. And look, if you want more information on all that, reach out and we'll do, you get involved with NLP certification. We could really dive deep into some coaching models, but this is really fundamental kind of stuff because this is the basis of everything that we do. Because here's the thing, meanings are distortions. Now, by the way, another NLP presupposition, by the way, I'm a master practitioner and trainer of NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. And we have these things that we're always doing in language. We're always deleting, distorting, and generalizing. So meanings are distortions. So what does that mean? Well, a distortion simply means that it is like sort of modified and not really the way it is. It's been distorted. It's been changed. So it's kind of putting it through a different filter. So with that being said, we could ask these questions. What meaning are you giving this situation or experience? Like, so a thing is happening, and then if you notice that maybe you're getting angry, maybe you're getting upset, maybe you're having challenges around whatever's going on, what meaning are you giving it? So we're seeing this a lot, when things get really emotional, this is where this is really valuable and important, because then we can start questioning things. So we could just ask, is that true that it means this? Could it mean anything else? One of the most powerful questions I've been able to incorporate into my lexicon, especially when things are not necessarily going the way that I would like them to, I notice, why am I feeling this way? What meaning am I giving? What's happening right now? And I go, I'm giving it a meaning that whatever in that moment when I unpack it, I'm can't think of an instance at the moment. But then what I can do is dig deeper and say, well, I know for certain, like 1,000%, this is exactly what this means. And I'll give you an example. Well, let me unpack this last question and then I'll give you the example. So then the last question is, how do you feel when you hold this meeting? Right? How do you react? How do you behave? What actions do you take based on this meaning? So when I first was getting published with my book under construction, my first version, Navigating the Detours and the Road to Recovery, the friend of mine who was working for the publisher at the time, he was like my in. And he was going to be helping me out. And he was like, kind of the guy inside for me. And he was my champion. I needed a champion, an advocate. Well, I don't know if I necessarily needed it, but I thought I did. So I'd reached out to him. I had sent in my manuscript, and I hadn't heard back from really anyone yet. And I reached out to him, and he didn't get back to me. And at first, when he didn't get back to me, I was like, oh, well, he's busy, whatever, who knows. And then I reached out again, and he didn't get back to me. Now I'm starting to get a little concerned, and now I start going into my head. It starts putting me in an interesting state. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, what's going on? Maybe he didn't like it, right? You know what this means? This means he didn't like it, and he doesn't want to do business with me. He doesn't believe in it, and he got negative feedback. He doesn't want to tell me, or all these stories I start going through. So then I start thinking to myself, well, is it true that it means that? I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, Do I know for certain 100,000%? No, I don't. Well, how do I feel? I don't feel good. I feel like confused. I feel frustrated. I'm starting to, if I focus on this and I allow this to occupy real estate in my head, I'm not now being effective at supporting others through their transformation. I'm not a great coach. I'm not being a great speaker. I'm not doing all the things that I value. I'm not able to deliver to the same level because I'm allowing this to get into my head. So I started changing that behavior. So I said, okay, well, what else would I be? Who else would I be without, and how else would I behave without that meaning? And I said, well, I would still be adding value. I'd still be doing a great job at what I do and what I love. Right? Okay, so this is better. So what is a positive intent? Like, what else could it mean? And I was like, I don't know what else it could mean. It could mean maybe he's busy, maybe he's hurt, maybe something happened to him, right? So then who would I be when I hold this new meaning? Well, I'd be someone who cares, who's empathetic, right? What is possible when you hold this new meaning? Well, it would actually give me the ability to follow through and find out what he's doing. I'd actually be a good friend because maybe he's genuinely not okay. So I reached out again, and at this point, it's probably a month or two later, and I was like, Steve, is everything okay? You usually get back to me. I haven't heard from you. I just want to be sure that, everything's okay in your world. And he responds back, who is this? No, things are not okay. And I was like, whoa, okay. He goes, I lost my phone. Who is this? So I reply back, this is Doug. I'm sorry. What's going on? How can I support you? What's the deal here? And he's like, I am still in England. I lost my phone. My father died. I got into a car accident. I'm stuck here in England in the hospital, like all this stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, totally not anything that I thought it was. But the meaning I started to give it put me in a non-resourceful state. So I had to interrupt that pattern and then find a new meaning for it. And that one actually happened to be a little more accurate. But think about it. Where else in your life have you maybe made decisions on a meaning that you gave something based on the state you were in when you assigned that meaning that actually had nothing to do with what really happened? And maybe you created some unnecessary challenges or issues in your life because of the meaning you gave it that was not accurate. Interesting. So let's look into the human behavior model and how this works so we could do something about it. So in reality, all of this stuff that's going on, we have, in life, 2 million bits of data that are coming in to our brain, and that's through visual, auditory, kinesthetic, olfactory, and gustatory senses. Then in our brain, it starts processing, what does that all mean? Goes to our internal representation and our state here, which then elicits our behavior through all of that. Let's give you another model here to look at this. So an external event occurs. A thing happens, right? Comes in, and then we run these filters. Remember, meanings are distortions. We distort, generalize, or delete information. So without getting too deep into these right now, again, if you want more, do some NLP training. But generalizations are things like people are, men are, women are, entrepreneurs are, small business is, the politics is, Republicans are, Democrats are, yada, yada, yada. Deleting is when we delete. In order to see the brown, you deleted everything else. And also in life, in conversation and communication, I'm sure you've experienced this, people only hear what they want to hear. So then we have all of these other things that go through. So we've got our time, our space, our matter, energy that we're going through, our different languages. Sometimes we actually have to process. If we are multilingual, we actually have to translate, and words don't always translate the same. We also have memories. We have past examples, the decisions that we've made in the past, the meta programs, right? That's that high level, again, NLP for all that. Our values and beliefs, some of our general attitudes, right? So it goes through all of that, which then our internal representation starts creating an experience around that. It impacts our state and our physiology. So then we take a specific action based on the meaning that we gave everything as we went through all of this crazy stuff. This is why it is important that we get a handle on this. Now, how do we do that? Here's the thing. All of this is using language. This conversation around this technology is around language. So let's dive in a little bit to some basic yet perhaps hidden in some respects, hidden in plain sight strategies. So remember I talked about the good book in Matthew 7:7? Ask and ye shall receive. We must hold in reverence the power of words, as this is the internal and external dialogue, as how we identify and describe our experience through declarations and questions, right? This will generate our decisions and our beliefs. So here's what's crazy about language. There's over 250,000 words in the English language, and when it comes to our emotions, roughly 50% of those are negative. That 50% of the words in that 250,000, it's not quite that many at all, but 50% of words that describe feelings represent negative feelings. And about 30% represent positive, and 20% are neutral. So even that is kind of could go either way. So that could even put 50% up a bit. It could have put up to as much as 60%. So we are more flexible linguistically in representing negativity than positivity, which means we are better equipped to feel like crap than we are to feel good. And based on our original conversation and model, how we feel is going to dictate the decisions we make about things, the meanings we give things. So if we're feeling like crap, we're going to give a crappy meaning to and a crappy decision and crappy behaviors, which will then create a crappy existence. This is why this is vital, and the fact that we're having this conversation through language proves the point. So, a language strategy. Awareness is key. So we need to commit, like decide now to catch yourself when you utter words that are non-resourceful and replace it with a more resourceful word. So here's an example. So say out loud right now, I have a problem. Say it. Don't do it in your head. Actually say it out loud. I saw you just doing it in your head. Say it out loud. I have a problem. Now, say, I have an opportunity. And notice the difference. How does it feel when you say you have an opportunity as opposed to having a problem? Our experience, our relationship, the meaning we give the word problem versus the meaning we give opportunity is very different. So therefore, our experience is very different, which then gives us the opportunity to be more proactive, more understanding, more compassionate, and take better actions. So just take a moment and come up with as many positive words or phrases that you can. And it could be things like, I'm so grateful. I'm so happy and grateful now that I've had the opportunity to be a boomer, to participate in Give to Get, to bring this opportunity to others. People love me because I love them. I had an experience where an ex-relative of mine posted on Facebook once, "Dear Lord, what new hell do you have in store for me today?" So interesting question. Can you imagine that this person must be experiencing some interesting challenges in life if that is a question that they ask consistently, presupposing that the Lord or God has hell in store for them? Can you imagine how that must impact the meaning they give spirituality, the meaning they give their relationship to their higher power, what impact would that have? And just think in other areas, where does this show up for us? And how can we shift it? Well, we shift it by getting more present to the power of our ability to make decisions on how we speak. So let's look at it from here. The way we focus our thought is through our questions, right? So what have been some of your habitual or realistic questions like that one I just supported? All right, so in order for you and I to feel anything, right, we're asking questions that direct us to negative or positive focus. So are we asking questions that are having us feel good, like what am I grateful for right now? Or if I wanted to be grateful, what could I be grateful for? That's a little hack. Go through there. My maximizer is about hacking our way to freedom, emotional and spiritual and financial freedom. One of the ways we do this is through our questions. And when we get stuck sometimes, and gratitude is one of those ones that can be challenging sometimes, is when you say, what am I grateful for right now? And a part of our brain goes, nothing. Well, then we say, if I wanted to be grateful right now, what could I be grateful for if I wanted to be grateful for it? And then our brain will say, well, if I wanted to be grateful, I guess I could be grateful for boom. Right? Now, by doing so, again, this hacks our brain because our brain actually doesn't know the difference between positive and negative in that sense. It just knows existence or not existence, truth or not truth, meaning existence. So don't think of a purple elephant in my hand. Do not think of a purple elephant in my hand. In order for you to unthink of a purple elephant, you first have to think of that purple elephant. So when we ask that question, if you wanted to feel grateful, I know you don't want to feel grateful, but if you wanted to feel grateful, what could you feel grateful for? And then now we're again focusing on the gratitude. So if you want to ask better questions in life, get better answers in life, ask better questions. And ask open-ended questions that are like fills it with positive, not negative answers. And that's part of the presupposition conversation. So remember, it's all in that good book. Ask and ye shall receive, seek and ye shall find. And both of these are that testament to the reality of that questions direct focus. So, Now, the other hack here is understanding who we are as far as we've got how many senses do we have? Go ahead, say it out loud. How many senses? Yes, some of you are smart. You're like 6, 7, a million. The ladies are like, oh, I got 6 senses. I got 7 senses. I got 8 senses. I know what's going on. Well, the truth is that yes, we have multiple senses beyond our 5 that we can measure. They still get processed through our 5 senses. Now, if you remember that movie, Sixth Sense, there you go. It's called The Sixth Sense. But remember what he did? I see people. He would have conversations with them. And he would have feelings. He would feel like chill. Remember, before they would come in, he would get a chill if there was going to be a spirit present. So notice how we use our language consistently, and this is how we pick them out. And this is how we could notice the patterns. So visual language would be things like, I see what you mean. Looks good. See you later. Like this would be someone who's in a visual mode. And again, we dive really deep into this in Freedom Hack or, NLP trainings and all that. And we bring this into coaching, into speaking, into marketing, into all of this because we are all of these modalities and we need to hit them all. Auditory. I hear what you're saying. Sounds good. Call me. All right. This is someone who's living auditorily in that moment. And then kinesthetic. Oh, yeah, I grasp what you mean. That feels right. All right, let's keep in touch, right? These are all ways that we experience our emotions, our states. We guide them through our senses. Now, we don't really do a lot of stuff like, sometimes we'll say things, I smell what you're putting down, or that tasted good. That was delicious. But mostly it's visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So let's wrap up with some other ideas, some cues to know how we're experiencing our language. So again, this is to dive into how are we giving meanings and how we can distort, delete, or generalize, maybe, because we're always doing it. Use it proactively. So when we are looking at visual words or experiences, our visual experience, we're going to be noticing things are in color, black and white, moving or still, 3D or flat, framed or unframed. Are we internal or external? Like how are we experiencing it, and then how are we describing it? Are we noticing the size, the shape? Is it bright or dim? Or is it far away or is it close? Right? Is it location focused? Is it or just sort of unfocused? We don't know exactly where it is. Color. Is it bright? Is it dark? Is it focused? Is it unfocused? Is it clear? Is it opaque? Right? These are all ways we experience something. Then auditory. So the way we'd experience it, the way we describe it, and again, as we're finding this, these are ways to hack into our mind to start shifting meaning, because these are the areas, the ways that our brain processes it. This is how we could start shifting these experiences. Now, again, this is only one of many ways. We're not going into like psychology as much right now as technically how we do it, because this is it's a different context for which we can use this technology. So auditory, stereo or mono, words or tones, right? The sounds or pitch. How are we saying it? Are we saying it fast? Are we saying it slow? Are we using a lot of affection, right? Or are we low inflection, right? Is it internal or external? Is it loud or soft? Where is it? It could be coming to us or going away, right? So there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of rhythm. Could be pace. Is it quick rhythmically? Is it polyrhythmic? Is it doing something in time? Right? The timbre, the distance, and the clarity. These are all just some of the ways we experience auditory. And then lastly is kinesthetic. Now, mostly this is in feely feels, right? Like meaning hot and cold, weight or pressure, location, vibration. Is it hard or soft? Is it slow or fast? Is it intense, right? Is it steady or intermittent, pulsing, right? Is it damp, dry, balanced, unbalanced, stable, unstable, resilient, brittle, sticky, slick, smooth, rough? And no, this isn't all about something. I know where your mind is going. But it also will get into some of the labels we give our feelings. So if you notice, sometimes we may feel stress and we feel the weight of the stress on our shoulders, or we may feel the anxiety in the pit of our stomach, and maybe it's moving around, or we're feeling that. So we want to notice these as well, because when we're feeling these non-resourceful states, we can interrupt that pattern, shift it. And again, we dive deep into this in our NLP trainings and our coaching trainings and our speaker trainings and all of that. And it's just a quick, high-level, short burst of like a lot of information, a fire hose of information, so that you can grab hold of how you and I create meanings, through what states, how do we get there. We do it through our language, through our focus, and through our physiology. So nothing has any meaning except the meaning we give it. And we give that meaning filtered through a state, through an emotion. And when we control that, when we are able to be compassionate and open and proactive rather than reactive, we can then consciously, directly influence our experience of the world, give empowering meanings to our experiences in life, so that we are able to touch, move, and inspire everyone we come in contact with, because that is who you are at heart. So thank you for being a boomer. Thank you for participating in this Give to Get session around the map of meaning. I love you for who you are and who you aren't. God bless you, and we will see you soon.